same time, a lot of you. So thank you so much for being with us. We wouldn't be here without my inexplicably deserved, I don't understand how that would ever be possible, Gene Montestelli, just sending you the love, because you're the man who made this happen for us this year, because I was a little bummed out about this this social isolation thing, because you well know I'm an inveterate hugger and community maker, and that was like stealing my party, man. And I know that's the stuff that everybody thinks about in the world is my party. But I really couldn't have done it without him. So Gene, just take it. Just take that gratitude like a man, okay? So anyway, Gene has kindly agreed to be with us tonight so that anyone who is not used to using Zoom or not comfortable with it or how it's going to work for us this weekend with this many peeps and has questions, that's what we're here to do tonight, okay? And then as you have seen, I hope, from your copious email collection, that we'll see each other in the morning at 9. If you would sign on a little earlier, I sent an email to you this evening that says, let's get there a little bit early so we can start. We are going to try to keep things tight so that everybody has a chance to get what they need and they can have as much of the weekend as we can bring you online. What else? The best way to get prepared for this is to go ahead and read that quick start guide that Gene wrote for you that was in your original email with your packet. I wanted to also send a shout out this weekend, and I'll do it again tomorrow, but there's a lot of people that have been able to join us this year because we're online and also because we are providing some scholarships. And I want to shout out Gene Montestelli and Chris Ferraro, Mary Day Bodenstein, Lorene Babb, Myra Jordan, and me too. We have a lot of scholarships this year, and we're going to welcome people into our community that way. And so thank you for being gracious to guests whose faces you might not recognize. They might just be showing up live in person at the 2021, and we'll talk about that later. For now, I think you have a lot of stuff in your packet. I'm going to shut up and let Gene take it away.
Wow. Okay. Welcome, everybody. I'm glad you're all here. What I'm going to do tonight is I'm just going to run you through some of the functionality of how we're going to use Zoom most effectively over the course of the next couple of days, so we can have the opportunity to be in community, so we can give feedback, so we can engage, so we can do small groups, so we can do a lot of the things. We certainly can't do everything that we would be doing if we were meeting in person, but the technology is going to allow us to do a number of things. So what we're going to do is we're going to spend a little time right now just figuring out and getting used to the Zoom interface a little bit. So we're just going to play a little tonight. So I'm just going to run you through quickly, just a quick little how to Zoom so it is easy for everybody to see. Johnny, can I get a confirmation you can see my slides?
Yes, sir.
Awesome, great. Okay, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna explain a little bit of the functionality, then we're gonna try it out, and then you're gonna ask questions, and Johnny and I are gonna stay on the line until all of the questions are answered. Johnny had mentioned that afterwards we are going to be going to get bourbon. I beat you to the punch. I have been prepared for this evening. So in Zoom, there are a couple of different screen views, which are gonna give you the opportunity to experience things a little bit differently. And so I'm going to show you both of those screen views. I'm going to unshare my screen so you can experience them without a screen share, because it's a little different when one of our presenters is not sharing a screen, because not all of our presenters will be sharing screens. So as I was putting this together, because I am in self-isolation, I needed to set up a number of demonstrations. That is my unicorn. My unicorn was on my iPad in another room, so we could get multiple people participating at once. Now, the first thing that you need to notice is if you are in full screen mode, it is going to make it difficult for you to engage in all of the functionality in Zoom. So if you see in the upper right-hand corner of your screen where it says exit full screen mode, I'm going to encourage you to click exit full screen mode so that you're able to be able to do other things on your desktop, but it actually makes Zoom a lot easier to use, and you're going to have access to more functionality if you've exited mode. So as you mouse over and you move around, if the little pop-up shows in the upper right-hand corner and it says exit full screen, that means you click on that and that will have you exit full screen. Now, when we are not in full screen, so you can see here that my Zoom window is in the middle of my desktop and you can see other things on my desktop. This here is what we call presenter view, or speaker view, and this here is what we call gallery view. And you can see in speaker view, there is one image that is large and we have some small images across the top. And if you are in speaker view, you will see, or if you're in gallery view, you will see lots and lots and lots of faces. Everybody who has their video turned on, you will be able to see that. And so the way that you are going to move back and forth between those is by clicking in the upper right-hand corner where it says screen view and it says gallery view. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing for a moment. And as you look at this in the upper right-hand corner, and it might not actually say the words, it might just be a little icon, but in the upper right-hand corner, if you click on the gallery view and the speaker view, you will see how it transitions back and forth. When we're in gallery view, it is a gallery and you can see everybody. And so if you are waving, anybody who has a video on, we are able to see you at this moment. And if you go back to speaker view, what you will have is at the top, you will have whoever is presenting, and more than likely you'll always see me and John D at the front of your line. You also might see a countdown clock up there in that line. We need to be in a situation where we're communicating clearly with our presenters and letting them know how much time we have left. And it is impossible for me to stand in their home office and give them the 5-minute signal because they're a long way away from me. And so you will see a countdown climber going the entire time we're doing the event. That is just for our speakers. You're going to tune it out very, very quickly. So again, just go back and forth. If you go over to gallery view again, you can see everybody's shiny faces. And depending on the size of your screen, you can see lots or fewer of those shining faces. And when you go back to speaker view, it'll select a couple of people who are not John D and myself who will be up at the top. Okay, now I'm going to share my screen again so we can look at some other things. Okay, so how to chat. When you are looking at your window, you will see right down at the center at the bottom something that says chat. If you click on chat, what it will do is it will open a little bitty chat box on the right-hand side. So what I'd like everyone to do right now is to open the chat window, and I would like you to type a message into the chat window letting us know you can use the chat window. Now, as you are doing this, you will see most of you are going to everyone. Oh my gosh, we have people in New Zealand. Hey, that's awesome. If you click that drop-down list and you change it to someone's name, then you are going to only send a chat message to that person. And if you are sending personal messages, those personal messages are not saved anywhere in the system. So you can send messages back and forth like that if you want to send someone a personal message. It's not going to give them a notification making a noise of any sort to let them know that it's there, but know that that is possible. And as you're doing it, pay attention to make sure that if you want everyone to see it, you can do that. And as we go through the weekend, depending on the speakers, some speakers are going to have you ask questions that way. If someone is saying something that is really resonating with you, or someone's doing a demonstration and you want to affirm them as they are doing that demonstration, this is a great opportunity for you just to chat and type something there in the chat box. And I see lots and lots of messages there. So it looks like it is working very, very well. Okay, John.
So yeah, Kelly, you say that you've only got myself and Jean and everyone in the chat. You do not have a drop-down list that includes each and every person on?
There we go. Okay, so I will change that functionality. That is something that is on my side that is a security thing. I will turn it on so we can chat with each other if people would like to do that. Thank you for letting us know, Kelly. Appreciate that. And so basically at the moment, anybody who is selected as a co-host is the person who would be seeing that. And at the moment, this is my meeting and we have selected John D as a co-host to make it easier for us to navigate that. Video controls. So you have the opportunity, as you can see, to be on or off video as we are doing this. And so what you can do is I'm going to ask you right now, and you'll see down in the corner, if it says start video, that will turn your camera on. And if you click stop video, that will turn your camera off. So if you want to just right now, just to see what that's like, to turn your camera on and to turn your camera off. If you want to switch over to gallery view when we are doing that, so you can see lots of fun faces, you can certainly do that as well. But that's an opportunity for us to turn ourselves on and off as we are navigating what is going on. Okay, great. Let's see here. The other thing to notice when you click down at video, you will see that there's a little bitty arrow next to the little video controller. If you click on that arrow, if you have multiple cameras, it is going to give you the opportunity to switch cameras. And I'm going to demonstrate that on my video just so that you can see what that looks like. So I'm going to stop sharing for a moment. But in my video, so you can see me right now, and then I can actually switch cameras because I have a second camera, which is my camera angle over here. And I can go back to my first camera here. So if you have multiple cameras, like if you have an external camera and something that is built in and you're not exactly sure why that is, you can actually switch from one camera to another as we are navigating that. The control next to it is the audio control, and it's the exact same thing. Now, one thing that is really important to recognize is that when we're doing something like this, the microphones that are built into your computer are specifically built in to pick up as much noise as possible because you're not very close to that microphone, which means that if you unmute yourself, not only are we going to hear you, but we're going to hear every bit of background noise that is going on in your place. You'll notice that John D is wearing a headset. I am using a microphone that is specifically built for home use, so it doesn't pick up nearly as much noise, so there's not background noise. But most of you are in a circumstance where the noise that comes from your house, from your neighborhood, from whatever is going on, if you are unmuted, that is going to come through. So as we navigate the weekend, we are going to ask that you keep yourself unmuted unless you are instructed to do otherwise. And if you unmute yourself, I'm going to be muting you because I can do that from this side, just to make it easier for our speakers to navigate and to be able to present in an effective way. Now, there are going to be 2 times, there's going to be 3 times, where unmuting yourself is going to be something that is going to make a lot of sense, and we're going to practice one of those this evening. The first time is if you have a question, the speaker will call on you specifically. And we'll talk about in a minute how you're going to be able to let the speaker know that you have something to contribute. Not all of our speakers are going to actually take audio feedback and go back and forth. You're going to have the questions in the chat box. All of the speakers are going to let you know how they want to engage as we navigate each of the presentations. But you will unmute yourself if a speaker says, John D, I see you have your hand raised. I would love to hear your question. Then you will unmute yourself, have the conversation. When you're done, you will immediately mute yourself. The second time that it is appropriate to unmute yourself is at the end of presentations. We're going to allow you to unmute yourself in the way that we would be giving applause and an appreciation. So for a brief moment, we're going to let everybody share some of that. And after a brief moment, I will mute everybody again with a single click of a button on this side so that we can continue on. But we want to be able to give our speakers some feedback and some appreciation. The third time when you're going to unmute yourself is if we ever break into small groups. And we're going to demonstrate that in a little bit so you can see what that is like. But obviously in a small group, it's going to be a conversation. And so it's appropriate in that setting for everyone to unmute themselves as you do it. So I'm going to show you how to work the controls. Then we're all going to try it and we're going to see what happens when everybody unmutes themselves at once. So it is the exact same thing. Down in the lower left-hand corner of your screen right now, all of you except John D and myself have a little microphone that has a cross through it. If you click on that, you will unmute yourself. So I'm going to encourage you at this moment, anybody and everybody can unmute themselves to hear what that is like. So practice muting and unmuting.
Da-di-da-di-da-di-da.
And then, with a click of my button, come on.
Sounds like a cricket.
So you see what's happening there is those are like audio artifacts, and often with too much input bouncing back and forth, that's what happens. So it's a really good thing that we've got Jean minding the shop for us and keeping all that to a dull roar. Otherwise, it would not only be really impossible for you to enjoy the presentation, but if we do manage to get any recordings out of it, we don't know we will yet, that would ruin it. So thanks for really keeping an eye on yourself and realizing that there's a good reason for everything he just told you.
And do not be surprised if, don't take it personally if you have unmuted yourself and I go and mute you again, because I just want to make sure that we're keeping track of things as we navigate all of this. So with the microphone control, in the exact same way with the video, you can control, if you have multiple input devices, what the input is, and you can control the output device. So as you can see from my list here on the screen, that I have multiple input devices. And so I have the microphone selected that I want to be using. So you can change your microphone. The same is true for your speaker. You can change the speaker if you have it, like I have a Bluetooth speaker and I have speakers built in. And so it just gives you the ability to navigate in that particular way. Okay, raising your hand. So there are going to be times where you want to ask questions and you want to give feedback, and the presenters are going to say, could you please raise your hand? So this is the way you raise your hand. So at the bottom, you will notice there is something that says participants. If you click on the participant list, what it's going to do is it's going to give you a list of everybody who is currently logged in. And we currently have 43 people joining us right now. And so you can see that list. So I'd encourage everybody to click on that list so you can see it there on the right. Then, after you see it there on the right, you will see down, so it pops up on the right-hand side, and you will see down at the bottom, there is a little button that says raise your hand. So, and as you see people in the list right now, a couple of people have raised their hands, so they've populated at the top of the list. So I want everybody to try raising their hand to see what that is like. Excellent. So that's a really easy thing to do, so that when a speaker says, hey, I would like to have some feedback, or if anybody has any questions, please raise your hand. And again, they will call on you by name. And in just a moment, I'm going to show you how to change your name. So if it is something that is not your name at the moment, you want it to be something else, we can change that. So hands raised. Okay. Change your display name. So if you're in a situation that you want to change the way that your name is appearing on the right-hand side, with the display list already open, with the participants list already open, if you mouse over the top of your name, you will see a couple of buttons show up. One says mute or unmute, and one says more. If you click on the more button, it should say rename. If you click on rename, it will give you a little pop-up box where you can type in a new name and change it. Some people, and I've been on a lot of presentations where people have actually put their Instagram handle as part of their name, or they've put their Twitter handle or whatever, but you can go in there, and right now you can go in and you can change your name to whatever you'd like. So what I'd like you to do is I would like everybody to give that a try and change your name in some way. Just so that you have the opportunity to experience that, to see what that is like. Excellent. I can see people are adding handles and locations and email addresses. Great. So that's a pretty straightforward process. And we're not all going to need to do that, but some people, when they log in, sometimes are in a situation where there is some sort of default something there. So feel free to go in there and change who you are and how you are showing up so that we can see you and it's easier to communicate with you. And know that when if you raise your hand and one of our presenters are calling on you, they're going to call on you by the name that is in that list, because that is the only information that they have. Great. Okay. Joining breakout rooms. There are going to be a couple of occasions where during presentations, we're going to break you into smaller groups. And when you go into these smaller groups, you're going to have an opportunity to try out the exercise, to have a discussion. The other thing that we're going to do on meal breaks is we're actually going to create some meal room breakouts. So if you want to have lunch or have dinner with other participants the way that we would be gathering in the restaurant to have a meal together, you will be able to do that. It's going to be a couple of rooms. You can't choose the room that you're in. You will just be assigned to some folks randomly by the software. But if you are so inclined and you want to chat with some other folks, you're going to do that. So this is what the process looks like. And in just a moment, I'm going to send everybody into breakout rooms so we can experience it. Okay. So when you are sent to a breakout room, you will get a little pop-up message that says which breakout room number you've been assigned to. That is something that is going to be random. And when you click on join that breakout room, your video will close for a moment. Then your video will reopen and you will be in a smaller group with 3 or 4 people, depending on the number of breakout rooms that we have and the number of people we have on the line at that moment. So when you go into a breakout room, it's going to look very, very similar to the Zoom room that you are currently in. And when you open the participants panel, or the participant panel is open, you can then see who is there and you can unmute yourself and you can turn your video on and off. So if you want to leave the breakout room, in the lower right-hand corner, you see in red, it says leave breakout room. And a little pop-up will pop up. You'll click on that window and you will return back to the big room. I have the power to close all the breakout rooms. So when we're doing a demonstration, we send you off for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever that length of time is, and the speaker is ready to rejoin you, you will be whisked back to the main room. And when you are whisked back to the main room, you will get a little pop-up that says you are returning back to the main room, and you're going to go there. So I'm going to stop sharing my video for a moment. And there's about 45 of us on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you all into breakout rooms. And I'm going to send it into 9 breakout rooms. So there's going to be 4 or 5 of you in a breakout room. So when the pop-up pops up, I want you to click the join the breakout room, go there, say hi to your friends in that breakout room. And then at some point in the next 2 minutes, I'm going to whisk you back to the big room so you know what that is like. So now you should see a pop-up window that is inviting you to a breakout room. Just click on that and disappear into your breakout room. So for those of you who've already made it back, some people are not leaving voluntarily, and so it is still counting down. So in 25 seconds, the rooms will close. That you saw that little countdown timer pop up. And so we slowly have people rejoining us, coming back. And we about half the folks back. And in 10 seconds, everybody's going to be whooshed back to the big room, whether or not that is what they wanted to have happen.
At least I'm back. I don't know where the rest of my group are.
Yeah, little by little, we're all coming. Excellent. And so we have all returned back to the big room. So that's just a great way. Like I said, during some of the presentations, we're going to be in a circumstance where a couple of our presenters are going to be sending you into breakout rooms so you can experiment and play along with the tools the way that we would break up in small groups. And again, at meal times, we're going to make it available if you want to hang out in a meal room or not. You don't have to do that at mealtime. You can just ignore the pop-up window. And at the meals, we will be giving really, really clear instruction of what that is going to look like so that everybody knows what is going on as we are navigating those rooms. Excellent. Awesome. So those are the basics of how we're going to be navigating things over the course of the next couple of days. If you have some questions, this is a great opportunity for you to ask them. You can type it into the chat box and we're monitoring that and I can answer them, or you can raise your hand and I will call on you and you can ask questions and we will navigate it that way.
I just wanted to point out that if you're hearing a lot of background noise, it's all of Brooklyn exploding and happy thanks to our healthcare professionals. It's 7 p.m.
Jean, can you explain the purpose of the secondary link for each day? Absolutely. So with Zoom, for a meeting such as this, where it's happening at a specific time, those meetings can only be 24 hours long. So it is impossible for an event that is going over multiple days for us to have a single link for each day. So in the email that John D sent you, there were 2 links for each day, a primary link and a secondary link. The primary link is the one that it's a lot easier for you to read because it's springenergyevent.com/Friday or Saturday or Sunday. The second is the direct Zoom link that will get you there, but they do the exact same thing. So tomorrow's link is going to be different than today's, and Sunday's link is going to be different than Saturday's link, just so that we can manage the meeting in the way that we want to, and so it makes it easier for us to record it. So if we're able to successfully do that, we can share some of the audio after the fact. Let's see here. Valerie, let's touch base offline for a presentation question, but I don't want to get us muddled down here. But Valerie Rice, when we end this call, I want you to stay on the line. You and I can have a quick conversation. We can figure that out.
Okay, and Mary from Lakewood is asking, will there be an audio recording or video recording made of these sessions? I have answered that in the email, but just so you know, thanks to Jean, we're actually having this conference this year, and we're not trying to load up the truck with too much stuff to do. So maybe is the answer.
Yeah, we're going to attempt to do both, but we will see what happens and we'll see what's going on. Will there be a wheel break on Monday, John D?
Yes, there will. It's
10
to 3, but there will be a lunch break in the middle as always.
Awesome. Barbara says, I don't see how to raise my hand. Let's see here. I'm trying to see you in my list. Okay, awesome. Barbara, so if you click the participants button at the bottom, so you get the participant list that is showing up on the right-hand side, at the bottom of the participant list in the middle is the button that says raise your hand. I wasn't able to use the chat box. How do I send a message? You are using the chat box to send that particular message. So apparently you figured out how to use the chat box. At the moment, we don't have it set up so you can send messages to each other. They can only go to the host. Hopefully we'll have it turned on where you can send an individual message to another person. But the chat functionality is the place that you type that particular question.
And Jean Misha is asking, she says, I'm able to type in the chat box, but I don't see how to send the message, so.
And you successfully sent the message. All you need to do is hit return after you type the message in, and it will show up.
There you go.
My Zoom jammed, and I didn't get into a breakout room. Okay, if your Zoom jams and you don't get into a breakout room, what's going to happen is if you need to leave the Zoom and restart it, what will happen is you will come into the main room. Anytime that we are in breakout groups, I will still be in the main room, and I can manually send you to a breakout room. So if you get stuck, get out of Zoom, come back into Zoom, and then we will navigate you to a breakout room so you get the opportunity to experience that. And we might have you unmute so we can talk back and forth to get you to do that. But when you're unmuted like that, only those of us left in the big room, this is the big room, will be able to hear that as we navigate that.
So I see Kelly's raised hand is slightly different for some reason, but it will be still on that string of yours when you pop open your participants and you see yourself. It will
Great.
be in that string.
Okay, and so for some people on the screen, it says reaction. If you click on the reaction button, it gives you the ability on your video to put an emoji. There are only 2 emojis that you can put there. One is a clapping hand and one is a thumbs up. So I will demonstrate what that looks like on mine. If you just hit reaction, you hit clap, then a little clapping icon appears on the top of you. If you click on it, thumbs up, it changes to a thumbs up. It will stay there at a certain amount of time. It will just disappear. So that's all the reaction is. So it's another way that you can affirm something that is going on. My raised hand is on the right, not in the middle. Yes, so I was demonstrating this on a Mac. PCs or different versions of the Zoom software, the buttons might be in a slightly different spot, but they're all in the same general area as you are navigating that. Let's see here. Printing handouts. Okay, yes. Okay, so if you go to springenergyevent.com/handouts, you are going to see the schedule by time, and you're going to see handouts. Many of the handouts are the handouts people would be giving after the fact to contact them. Some of the handouts are the slide presentations. As far as I can tell, only one of them is one that you need to have printed out for sure because it's going to be part of your small group demo as you're working on something. That would be mine. It's actually labeled, you need to download this ahead of time, but you can certainly download any and all of them right now. Again, springenergyevent.com/handouts. And if you go to springenergy.com/handout, that will work as well. Okay, so for the lunch breakout rooms, okay, so basically what's going to happen is if you want to have conversation with other people who are here, the exact same way that we randomly sent you to breakout rooms this evening, we're going to make that a couple of them because only a small percentage of people are going to do that. But what we're going to do is we're going to send you into breakout so that the breakout rooms have like 6 to 8 people kind of like sitting at a big table at one of these events. And so then you can mute and unmute yourself. And so you will be talking at that. So it's not something where you can choose the people that you want to sit at your lunchroom table that we're going to randomly assign you. If you want to have lunch with someone who's participating on your own, you're certainly welcome to create your own Zoom link, FaceTime with someone, jump on Skype, whatever. However you want to connect away from this with the people you know, that's great. This was just a small way that we could give people the opportunity to communicate with each other, but to do it in a way that was manageable in the limited time and resources we had because we were pulling this together at the last minute. I don't think you don't make a promise, John, that you can't live up to.
I just said, what fun would that be, John?
Yeah. Great. Yeah. So that's how we're going to Zoom. The other thing that's going to be going on over the course of the couple of days, Chris and Kelly and myself are going to be paying attention to what's going on inside the chat box the whole time. So if you have a question about something and you're struggling with something, you can also ask those questions there, that we're going to be paying attention to that. And we're going to be as helpful and responsive as we can as we try and navigate that, as we're doing this for the first time, trying to make it work.
So, and I'm just going to add to that, because we may be thinking about different things. Thankfully, we have Chris and Kelly who can answer you privately and let you know what they can do to resolve whatever's going on. And if it's something else, they will simply say, could you wait till the break, or I'll let John D know, or something like that. And we will do our very best. It's an experiment in real life.
Awesome. That looks like all of the questions that have been asked over in the chat spot. Awesome. So Kelly's mentioning here that she's going to label herself Kelly Tech Support when she's doing that. So when you're chatting with her, you will be able to see it. Mary, we're seeing your messages. I'm not exactly sure what your question is, but your messages are showing up as they are coming through.
Okay, so it's working. And Chris Ferraro is also going to put herself on a tech as well. As a matter of fact, Jean, is this a good idea that before we get rolling in the morning, we'll just ask them to check in pretty early, so they will also be at the head of the gallery view. So if Kelly and Chris would do that, that will probably help us. And you don't have to stick around, just sign on early and then come back, okay? That way you'll be in the right position. Thank you. Okay.
Excellent.
So, well, this is great. And as John pointed out, there's no airport